On today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, Spider-Man 4 is in development and Tom Holland is actually working on the creative for the very first time. Also, Netflix's series The Witcher is going to end after season 5. Marvel's Vision Quest, a lot of people thought maybe it might be done and scrapped, but according to a new report, it may go into production this year. And let's not bury the lead, guys. Deadpool and Wolverine have launched their new trailer and it is life. That and a few bunch of things more. The John Campea Show podcast starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio, brought to you in part by our friends at Liquid IV and Wellness. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. Not just giving you our opinions, but giving you some information and context so you guys can form your own well-informed opinions, whether they're the same or even different than ours. Joining me in the new old studio today, we got Ray Ora.
We back, baby.
Jonathan Voico.
Looks like we made it.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
Such deja vu.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about those topics that I just listed off. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. So if you've got a thought, comment, question, opinion, observation that you'd like us to address, go ahead and use the super chat feature. They are currently still on, but they won't be on for that much longer. Fire on in your question as long as it's appropriate to be addressed on our show. We'll address it in the second part of the show. And yeah, we are in our new old digs. Today, of course, we moved studios again. We finished our 2-year lease on the other studio that was like over 2,000 square feet. That, as of about a year ago, we didn't need 2,000 square feet anymore. So we have moved back into my home studio. And I really like it. I'm actually excited about doing things from here again. So with that all down, guys, let's jump into it. And we're going to start off with this. Now, one of the things that, and big movie projects coming up that no official word has been given about, but we all know is going to come, is Spider-Man 4. No, not Andrew Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Man 4. No, not Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4, but the current MCU Tom Holland version of Spider-Man 4. We did have directors attached. Those have gone. We've heard about writers on. It comes and goes, but there's not really been any official word. Well, Tom Holland, who is at a film festival right now, just kind of gives some comments about the development of the movie and that he's actually now involved in the creative process. This comes to us from the folks over at Deadline who wrote the following. When asked about, if he's going to be doing another Spider-Man, he said this: "The simple answer is that I'll always want to do Spider-Man films," Tom told Deadline. "I owe my life and career to Spider-Man. So the simple answer is yes, I'll always want to do more." Now, of course, this is a little bit of a departure from what he was saying last year. He was saying, well, I don't know, maybe my time as Spider-Man is done. At some point, you got to let a new actor come and have the chance. No. Now he's saying the right thing. I have a career because of Spider-Man. I will always do Spider-Man. Now he goes on to say this. He says, "We have the best in the business working towards whatever the story might be. But until we've cracked it, we have a legacy to protect," he said. "The third movie was so special in so many ways. We need to make sure we do the right thing." Now, this is kind of the key part when he says, he added that this is the first time in this process that I've been a part of the creative so early. It's just a process where I'm watching and learning. It's just a really fun stage for me. Like I said, everyone wants it to happen, but we want to make sure we're not overdoing the same things. Now, by the way, I want to point out this picture that's in here because he's at this Scottish Film Festival. And part of the Scottish Film Festivals, they have like a day of golfing. And he's out there golfing. The guy with the gray hat beside him, that's his brother. But there's a Russo brother standing there on the end as well. Now, before anybody reads too much into it, going, well, that means the Russo brothers are going to do Spider-Man 4. Don't forget that Tom Holland has made other films with the Russo brothers. and so he's worked with them, and they were at a film festival. So hey, listen, I'm not saying the Russo brothers won't be directing the new Spider-Man movie. I'm just saying, don't read too much.
He looks like he's not used to Scottish summers. He looks a little bit more noticeably cold than the others.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Not quite used to it, but anyway, a couple of interesting things in here. Obviously, we know they're going to do another Spider-Man, right? Like that's a no-brainer. Everybody knows they're going to do another Spider-Man. But this is kind of the first time the most official person has like really referenced the work process they're at right now and where they're at as far as what stage it's going and the development of it all and all that kind of stuff. So that's all good. But Rob, it also kind of comments a little bit on, this notion that the longer an actor plays a role, even the studios and the filmmakers start to see it more and more as it's their role. They're a part of this, and seeing Tom getting involved in the creative is interesting. What do you think about it? Do you take anything away from the fact that we got a Russo brother in the picture? What do you think?
Well, no, like you pointed out, I mean, they made Cherry that he starred in. And I think that doesn't, just because filmmakers show up at a film festival together doesn't mean like, oh, they're directing the next franchise picture. Because the Russos have been doing some pretty interesting things, and they've been getting a lot of money for what they've been doing. So, no, I think that, an actor like Tom Holland, he's played Spider-Man, not just in the 3 Spider-Man movies, but in Avengers movies. He's been around, and he died in Infinity War.
Sort of, yes.
Sort of. He was snapped. He was part of the snapping. I think it makes sense to what would you like to see, Tom? Your character, what would you like to see? They left Spider-Man in a really interesting place. The slate was clean. Nobody remembers Peter Parker. And where does somebody, I would think that he himself as a person, you're in your 20s now and you've had success and you're going to try and reinvent yourself. I bet he has a lot of really interesting insights into where Peter Parker, the character, is based on his own experiences. So I would like to see those insights incorporated into where they take Peter Parker's character and Spider-Man's character. But I think it could be quite good. I mean, I'm sure that they're going to have a crack team of writers write it, of course, but I think he could provide valuable insight. It's always, characters are the actors they play. I mean, obviously they have scripts written for them, but an actor brings their essence to the role. And he's been this role for a while, so why not make him a part of the creative process?
Let's use this opportunity then to take a second to speculate about this a little bit. Where does Spider-Man 4 go? Because, a lot of us, including you and me, have kind of talked about that, considering all the space adventuring and Thanos fighting and multiverses of madness and stuff that he's, fighting Doctor Strange. A lot of people thought about, including you and me, about the idea, maybe it's time to give us our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Maybe with the fact that, he's finally getting rid of the Iron Man Jr. outfit. He's got a true Spider-Man costume now, that it's time to bring us that neighborhood Spider-Man. But can Marvel go backwards that way? Do you think we'll get something more neighborhood focused, something more street level focused? Or do you think they'll go bigger and grander this time? And where does Ned and MJ play into all this? Like, I don't know. How do you see this thing going?
Well, if you think about it, I mean, I've always liked stories about characters that are looking for themselves. Right. And they're trying to figure out who they are. The one thing that I think is really fascinating about the Spider-Man MCU is Peter Parker's gone. So we always talk about, is Superman or Clark Kent, is Kal-El or Clark the real person?
Right.
We're now in a situation where Spider-Man is real. The fiction, the character that Peter Parker made up is real, but Peter Parker as a person, as an entity, as a human being is gone. Well, what does that do to a person? So from a character standpoint, a character study, he's gone. And what does that do to someone's identity? If Spider-Man doesn't have the real person that he was, he doesn't have family, he doesn't have friends. And these are the things that grounded him, that gave him the fuel that he needed, the foundation to even become Spider-Man. And when you've had all that stripped away, what does Spider-Man mean to Peter Parker if Peter Parker doesn't exist? So I think if they could come up with a story that metaphorically, whatever battle Spider-Man has to fight, if it informs his personal struggle to find out who he is in this new world, you could make a really deeply affecting Spider-Man movie that doesn't necessarily have to have the universe at stake. And I think, to me, that's the best kind of drama.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Tom Holland talking about the process they're going through to get Spider-Man 4 up and running, the fact that he's involved in the process. Good news, bad news. Which way do you think they're going to go with it? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, it was with great excitement that my boy Henry Cavill, who is, yes, we did bring Henry over. You can't see him, but he's over there in the corner silently keeping vigil over the studio here.
Mad dogging Rob right now.
He really is. I feel nervous.
So when The Witcher came out, a lot of excitement, but a lot of anxiousness as well. It's like, is this going to be any good? Witcher season 1 was so good. I mean, it just blew every expectation I had away. I love the way that whole twist too, when you realize the events in the show for the first 7 or 8 episodes weren't being told in one timeline. They were being told from 2 different, and then they merged. Like, that was such a great twist they did with that. I loved it. Season 2 was pretty good. It wasn't as good as season 1 to me. Season 3, quite frankly, was very forgettable. And then came the news that Henry Cavill was out. No more Henry Cavill for The Witcher. And we've got Liam Hemsworth coming in. Who, by the way, I've met Liam Hemsworth. I've sat down and talked with Liam Hemsworth. Super nice guy. Super sweet, very nice guy. Not that good of an actor. I hate saying stuff like that, but it's my job to talk about movies and how I see them. Super nice guy. Really like him a lot. Not a very good actor so far. But they brought him in to be, take over and fill in Henry Cavill's shoes to be The Witcher. And we've got season 4 now getting ready to go in production. They've already done their table reads, all that kind of stuff. Well, 2 bits of news about The Witcher. Number 1, Netflix has already greenlit season 5. So they're just getting rolling on season 4, and they've already greenlit season 5. But also, season 5 is going to be the end of it. This comes from the folks over at Variety who wrote the following. Netflix's fantasy series The Witcher has been renewed for season 5, which will be the end of the series, the streamer announced Thursday morning. It also confirmed that season 4 is now in production, and it will film back-to-back with season 5. Season 4 will be the first with Liam Hemsworth replacing Henry Cavill as the lead character, Geralt of Rivia. Netflix announced in October 2022 that Cavill would be departing the show after the 3rd season, which aired in the summer of 2023 in 2 parts. All right. So I'm going to ask the question that is the proverbial elephant in the room.
Oh.
Is anybody even going to watch season 4? Now, again, let's take out the fact that Henry Cavill is left. Okay. So let's just take that and put that aside for a second. Henry Cavill's gone, but we'll put that aside. The reality is, and this is all a subjective opinion, but I think a lot of people feel this way. The Witcher series has been in decline ever since the 1st season. I'm not talking about the numbers. I'm talking about quality wise. Like, again, I loved the 1st season. I liked the 2nd one. I didn't dislike it. I liked it. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't as good as the 1st one. And the 3rd season to me was really, really quite forgettable. And so right there, I have a wonder if you should be greenlighting a season 5 right now, because I'm not even sure a lot of people are going to watch season 4. Now let's take the Henry Cavill departure off the shelf. The guy that a lot of people watch that show for, Henry Cavill, is left. I don't know that Liam Hemsworth has a massive fan following. And so when you pair up, Rob, the decline of the quality of the show over the course of a couple of years with the fact that you now have lost the star who was terrific in the role. And again, I'm not going to pretend that I've read the entire internet, but every comment I read about Henry departing and them replacing him with Liam Hemsworth hasn't been great. So are they being premature in greenlighting season 5? Because again, Rob, I asked the question, is anybody even going to watch season 4? What do you think?
Well, I think, here's the thing with these shows that are on streaming services. They have the analytics.
Yeah.
And the analytics tell them a lot. And I would say that, okay, it is a transition. They are taking a risk by having a new star in the middle of the show, but I think they must know something we don't in greenlighting another season. And if they do that, I mean, for streaming shows, it's not like they're selling advertising. So once they've spent the money, they've done the calculations, they feel that, okay, even if nobody watches the show, it makes The Witcher itself something that they can put on their shelves, and it has whatever value it has. I mean, if they want to sell it into syndication, they can do whatever the hell they want with it, but they feel confident enough to give it a 5th season. And I think, you know what? If you like The Witcher and you like the universe, you like the games, you like the books, you're going to tune in. I think people are like, I'm not excited about it. But people, if you like The Witcher, I don't think the audience is going to be like, I'm not going to watch. They're going to test it out. At least they'll test the waters. And I think the people that are making the show know they better do a good job, because losing your lead and replacing him, if you don't have the storytelling, you're going to lose people after that 1st or 2nd episode. They're out. So I would hope that they got to step up their creative game to make this all work. And maybe that's something that they know that we don't. Maybe they have. Hence season 5.
I will say this, though. The one good decision here is, okay, look, if you're determined you're going to do season 5, because I already saw some people in the live chat say, well, wait a minute, but if season 4 doesn't work, just because they say they've greenlit season 5 doesn't mean they're going to do it. They're shooting it back to back.
Yeah.
Like season 4, they're going to already be in production of season 5 by the time season 4 airs. But I will say this. That's probably a smart decision on their part. Like if you've already determined, I'm not sure it was smart to greenlight season 5, but if you're determined to do season 5 and you know you're going to do it, we've talked a lot, Rob, about the fact that it saves you a lot of headache, hassle, and money from a logistical point of view, just to shoot it all at the same time. And so that's probably a good move on their part. So even if the ratings on season 4 tank, we're still going to get season 5 because they're shooting it. So anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this little piece of news that they have greenlit season 5 before season 4 has even really got well into production, and that they're going to shoot it back to back? Are you a fan of The Witcher? If so, how have you felt about the quality consistency from season 1 to season 3? There are some people I'm sure probably love season 3. Are you worried about the fact that Henry Cavill's gone, Liam Hemsworth's coming in? Maybe you really like Liam Hemsworth's work. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got to talk about Vision Quest may actually still be on the books and coming to us. And of course, that Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at The Wellness Company. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of today's video, The Wellness Company. Okay, so you wake up with a scratchy throat, congestion, runny nose, and cough. You know your body. You know you're getting sick. So your choices are tough it out, get sick and take time off work, or hope the doctor can see you this month, or wait 2 hours at urgent care and sit in a room full of sick people, or open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to the doctor-recommended prescription. Start on the right meds and nip this in the bud now. Your medical emergency kit is not a first aid kit. It comes with doctor-prescribed meds to treat over 39 medical issues. Strong antibiotics for infections of all types, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, bronchitis, and so much more. Plus, a doctor's easy guide so you'll know exactly what to take and when. There's no waiting to see the doctor, no waiting at the pharmacy. It's all in here. Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit. Order yours online in just minutes. Your kit will be rushed right to your door, and you can get 15% off at twc.health/Campea and code Campea at twc.health/Campea. And thank you to our friends at The Wellness Company for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, WandaVision to me still stands as probably the single best thing that Disney Plus has done. Well, Andor is right up there too, but at least on the Marvel side, it's still the gold standard. WandaVision is still the gold standard for everything Marvel has done on there. And of course, one of the big reasons for that was the terrific award-nominated performance of Paul Bettany playing Vision. And since then, of course, you guys remember WandaVision ends with Vision being gone again and White Vision emerging. And then came word that they were going to be doing a Vision Quest show. But it's been radio silence for a long time about that. And then when Bob Iger and Kevin Feige came out and said that they were going to be pulling back how much production that they're actually going to do, and that they've already actually killed some projects and stuff like that, a lot of people, including me, have kind of believed that Vision Quest was one of those things that was taken off the table. But hold on a second. Along comes that, outlet, Production Weekly, that often, very accurately, talks about what is about to go into production, where, when, and where. And it's, industry professionals read it all the time. Vision Quest may not be dead. This comes to us from What's on Disney Plus, who wrote this. While the focus is returning to major films with theatrical releases, Marvel Studios is still going to be creating some shows for Disney Plus. We already know that Marvel has filmed Agatha, Wonder Man, Ironheart, and Daredevil Born Again, but there is another show that has been rumbling around the rumor mill for ages. Vision Quest. According to Production Weekly, and I went and I took a look at it myself, filming on the upcoming Vision Quest Disney Plus series is expected to begin this October in the UK. Now, let's lay some preamble here. Production Weekly is very often correct, but it's not the Bible. Right. So maybe they got something wrong. Maybe they got something wrong. Okay. So that's a possibility that maybe they got something wrong. I really hope they got this right, because I love Paul Bettany in this Marvel universe. I love him being in it. I love the character. I only fell in love with the character even more during Vision Quest, and the whole introduction of this white version of Vision, fascinating. I would love to see where they go. Do I actually believe they're going to do Vision Quest? I do, actually. And you know what? I think if there was ever doubt about doing Vision Quest, I think the emerging need, I think what Marvel is recognizing is that they tried, after Avengers Endgame, they tried to move on too far and too fast, right? Not having enough, like it seemed like every week they were introducing new shows and new characters and all this kind of stuff without, like a good sports team, Ray. You got to have a mix of the young guys and the veterans. You got to have a mix in there, right? And I feel like that's the same for the MCU right now, right? And I think Vision, while he wasn't one of the OG Avengers, I think he's one of those guys, especially Paul Bettany, because Paul Bettany is as OG as it gets. He was in his voice was in the first Iron Man movie, right? He was Jarvis. So to have him in there, I think, is an important fact, and I think there's some good story to tell. Anyway, Rob, what do you think about this report from Production Weekly? And then two questions: Do you think they're going to do a Vision Quest? And number two, do you think they should, or should this be one of the projects that gets axed? What do you think?
No. Well, first of all, in the comics, Vision is a cornerstone of the Avengers, especially in the 70s and the 80s.
He was the leader of the Avengers for a while in the comics.
I mean, his importance to the Avengers and to the whole Scarlet Witch mythos cannot be undersold. And I think Paul Bettany, as a veteran actor, has a gravitas to him as well. And look, when he was introduced in Age of Ultron, he was great. Everyone loved Vision. And I certainly love Vision. I love the design of the character. I have hot toys of each, White Vision and regular Vision. I think that Paul Bettany's a great actor, and I think he's a heavy hitter. And as far as his power levels, they need him for the Avengers. And I think it's something that, whatever the Vision Quest storyline is, like where they left Peter Parker, they left Vision in a really interesting place too. Same thing. You're going back, even the title of the show assumes that Vision has to go find himself. After the advent of White Vision and whatever happened to Vision and the way he was a product of Tony Stark's creation.
He's hanging out on the moon with Steve Rogers.
Yeah, I mean, and then you've got, where Ultron and all that, they could bring elements of that back. So I think it's a great idea. I think that they probably have a really great idea for it. And I can see this absolutely getting made. I want to see this get made. I hope it is going to get made. And like you said, John, WandaVision still is the strongest in my mind show that Disney Plus has put out, especially the strongest MCU show. So to have an offshoot of that show, I think it's definitely something to get excited about, and I hope this gets made.
I actually asked Jonathan Ray too. Well, Jonathan, start with you. Like, I'm curious what other people's perspectives are, because again, Vision isn't like one of the core original Avengers. It's not like you don't see a lot of Vision cosplay when you go to the conventions, whatever. Is it a Vision show something you guys want to see?
I mean, I'm a little confused because this is a sequel and it's a recasting, because originally it was Matthew Modine in Vision Clothes. So
bring it back. That's right. That's what Production Weekly meant. It's the Matthew Modine sequel.
I probably should.
I mean, we got Footloose, we got Roadhouse.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't got Flashdance yet, but maybe we are getting Matthew Modine, because wrestling is coming back, John.
Yeah,
It's
The high school level.
I'll
100%.
say this much though. I'm excited. I love Vision, dude. He is OG and he is a great Avenger. So this is like, if you're gonna do something on Disney Plus, I hope they go big and come on, it's Vision, man.
And
this isn't
it
just
is.
like, this isn't just like, I love Hawkeye, but this isn't just like Hawkeye. This is something big. So do it.
And you have to end this story somehow. I mean, they left us with him flying off, right? White Vision.
yeah, just disappearing, riding off
But
into the
there's
sunset.
there's another half of that story that it's going to be missing too. Wanda. Is Wanda going to be involved at all? I know the actress said she doesn't want to play the
Well,
part
she's
anymore.
dead.
Yeah, but I mean,
Is she?
So they
I know,
say.
it's the Marvel Cinematic
I mean,
Universe.
he's alive
he's just gonna-
somewhere.
So they're just going to forget that part of his life, or what? I mean, we'll see. I'm very interested to see what direction they are going to go after all the events that have happened without him involved in them.
We got to get him back in the lunchbox.
But yeah,
Yeah.
he's a strong character. He's a mech, kind of, right? He's a robot.
Yeah, but
sort of a-
infused with the power of an Infinity Stone. At least
anything
he
robot
was.
I love. So let's see what they're gonna do with him.
But let me ask, because everybody's brought this up, but let me ask this: does Wanda really need to play a part of that? Because remember, this is not really Vision.
Yeah, right.
Right? And maybe that emotional component doesn't necessarily transfer over, and maybe like we're all talking about how, because I admit that was my first thought too, is that how do you do Vision without Wanda? Well, because that Wanda doesn't mean that much to this Vision.
Right. Maybe that the idea of him flying off was them saying this relationship cuts off right here. It's just cut off. Like there's no, because like he didn't even really know who she was in that last part that we saw.
Yeah, so I don't know. It'll be anyway. I really do hope they make this. I love Paul Bettany in the role. I really love the character. So fingers crossed. And like I said, the MCU needs some of the vets. They need a bigger presence from some of the veterans of the series. So let's see if they do that. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Reports coming out of Production Weekly that Vision Quest is going to go into production this year. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. But the question is for you. Do you think it's going to happen? And do you think it should happen? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? You guys know that my most anticipated movie is Deadpool 3, aka Deadpool and Wolverine. I've been waiting for like 5 years for this. And of course, the first trailer already dropped a while ago, and it was a banger. Then they showed us, how many minutes did they show us? 10 minutes of Deadpool and Wolverine at CinemaCon, and it was glorious. There's a little bit of the footage they showed us at CinemaCon in this new trailer. Well, then yesterday, Ryan Reynolds announced to the world that tomorrow we're doing a new trailer. And they dropped the new trailer. And I remember this morning waking up thinking, I wonder if this is going to be like a standard trailer, if they're going to do a red band trailer. Oh no, it's a red band trailer. It's totally a red band trailer. And the glory of Deadpool and Wolverine was on full display. This trailer dropped and it is life itself. I loved this trailer. It's hilarious. It totally gives us, I think, a real sense of what the DNA of the movie is going to be like. And even after the first trailer, I said this. I said, if there were any people out there that were worried that Marvel was going to Disneyfy Deadpool and they weren't going to let them really be hardcore, they were going to make them pull back a little bit, it's not going to be the same edgy Deadpool that got put. I felt like the first trailer put that to rest, but there were still people out there who said, no, they're going to go really easy. They're not going to let. This trailer should absolutely end that conversation. The conversation's over, right? This is going to be as hard R of a Deadpool as we've had in the first two movies. I mean, just the amount of blood they were showing just in the trailer, forget the language. I mean, the actual amount of blood in it. We got our first good look at Cassandra Nova. At least that's who we all assume that's who that is. I just thought it was great. I didn't know, Rob, if this was going to be the Wolverine from Logan. I think this trailer puts that debate to rest too. I think this is the Wolverine from Logan. And I think what they're going to do, and I thought about this, but credit to some other people on YouTube, they also had the same thought, is that we know in Logan killed the X-Men. And it was a result of something. They implied it had something to do with Charles's condition that did it. But maybe we find out in this it was Cassandra Nova that did it. Or, I mean, a lot of different theories out there and all this kind of stuff. But we're dealing with a tortured soul Logan. And not only is this the Deadpool we've been wanting to see, this is the Logan we've been wanting to see. And Rob, I got to tell you, I am so set up for anything from Deadpool and Wolverine to let me down because my expectations are so high and my hype is so high that I'm just kind of setting myself up from disappointment. But everything I've seen, from the first trailer to the little marketing bits to the 10 minutes they showed us at CinemaCon to this new trailer, it's just getting me more and more hyped. So that's just me. You and I did not watch the trailer together.
No.
You saw it, and I have not asked you this question yet, but here it is. What did you think of the new Deadpool trailer?
Well, now keep in mind, I did not see the 9 minutes of what you saw at CinemaCon.
Right.
I have to say I was a bit underwhelmed by this trailer. Now, I'll tell you why. First of all, the use of the F word repeatedly. I don't know why, but I'm like, okay, you said it once, then you said it twice, and then I think you said it a third time at the end of it. I'm like, that seemed an interesting choice, because I know they're trying to make sure that everybody understands this is R-rated. But here's what I am missing. And I know that Marvel usually shows clips from the beginnings of the movie. I would imagine everything we saw in this was from the first 30 minutes of the film.
I agree.
If not the first 20 minutes. Because I think they're really trying hard to keep whatever's going on under wraps. And this all felt like setup to me. And I love the character of Cassandra Nova. I loved her when she was introduced in, I believe, Grant Morrison's run of X-Men, which I loved. And I love that. Whoever that actress is playing her, if that's her, I'm in. I mean, I think she's incredible. But
Emma Corrin.
is that her?
Yeah.
See, yeah, my only thing about this trailer, and the thing that disappointed me, was we know that Wolverine and Deadpool are in this movie. What I wanted to get more of a sense of is, so what? They're in the movie, but what is it they're going, and we don't know what they're going to do. They gave us we know that there's obviously a villain, and we know that Wolverine's tortured, but all the things that we saw in this trailer, for me personally, I knew all these already. And we know it's a multiverse story, but I wanted to have one at least sliver of something that was going to lead me to understand, what is this movie about? I don't know. I know that Wolverine, and maybe that's all that I should know. But I wanted to get something, because it seemed to me it didn't provide me with any new knowledge that the first trailer didn't already give me. Now, seeing them together is hilarious. And the stuff that they're doing is hilarious. And it's fun. And I loved seeing whatever World War Road Warrior contraption they were on and whatever's going. Again, I think it's all in the beginning of the movie. And clearly they're having a ball. And there were some really interesting things, like giant Ant-Man with the helmet being pulled back with a skull
underneath,
and the Rob Liefeld joke about just feet. That was hilarious. I mean, there's some
that was a deep cut joke. That's
a deep cut joke. But I stopped and paused it. I'm like, did that say Liefeld's? And then when Dude, I laughed aloud. I stopped the trailer, and when it said just feet, I lost it. Like, I laughed out loud. Loved seeing we know he's in the yellow suit. But I do want to I hope they give us at least one more trailer that gives us a little taste of what more is going on in this movie. But then again, maybe, and you could tell me more about this, after that first 9 minutes was shown, maybe it's best we don't know. And maybe the fact that we don't know what this movie is exactly about is a better way to go.
See, here's my take on that, because I'm the guy who, first trailers aside, I'm the guy who wants trailers to give us an idea about what the movie's about.
Or just
right?
some sense of the direction.
Right. But I felt this trailer did that. See, because, this is what we know now following this trailer. Because we know from the one line in the trailer, Deadpool's universe is at risk. Deadpool's universe is in danger of dying. And he's trying to fight to save all the people he loves and cares about. It's also implied in the trailer that Wolverine's universe did suffer that fate.
Right.
At least that's what's implied. That Wolverine comes from another reality and universe that did suffer the fate that Deadpool's may now face. And Wolverine apparently either owns some of that blame or blames himself and is caring for that. And now the two of them, and Wade simply doesn't know how to save his universe. He thinks Wolverine can. And maybe they're both Nexus beings from their individual universes. Maybe they're whatever. But see, to me, that's the trailer telling me what the basic idea of the movie is. And I'm like, okay, I'm the guy who always wants the trailers to tell us what the movie's about. I feel that it did tell us what it's about, and I don't need to know anymore. Now just show me things that sells me on the movie. And I feel that this trailer, let's face it, most people are excited about Deadpool and Wolverine anyway.
Yeah.
But I feel like for those people who maybe didn't know it was coming or who are on the fence about it, I think this movie sells the fuck out of it. I think this trailer sells the fuck out of this movie. I think a lot of people are going to be very entertained by it.
I just think, though, that all these things that you mentioned, we kind of already knew.
We didn't know about Wolverine's role in it. We didn't know that they're going to imply that Wolverine was the cause of his universe's death. And
that's all assumptions, but
but
we do know multiverse. I mean, I think that there's a lot more. The fact that they gave us a glimpse of a villainess who's done something.
If she's even the main baddie.
If she's even the main bad
Yeah,
person.
I don't think she is.
No, because I think this has to do with the incursions that we touched upon in Multiverse of Madness. And at the end of the trailer, you see them jump through a portal.
A portal.
So I think this...
That Wong probably, because Wong's in everything now.
Or we could get a Doctor Strange cameo
Could
at the end
be.
or something. But I think this has to do with incursions and wrapping up the multiverse.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. Look, I'm not saying I dislike this. I wanted a little bit, because we know... I guess it's because I have multiverse fatigue. And this is...
Oh, me too.
And we're leaning into this stuff, whereas there's a lot of really... Frankly, I think we don't know a fraction of what's going on in this movie.
No, and here's the other thing. The impression I got, because, Kevin Feige and, why am I freezing on the director's name? Sean Levy.
Yeah.
So Kevin Feige and Sean Levy were standing on stage, and like Levy, when he was on stage, when he was introducing the 9-10 minutes they were going to show us, and he talked at length about how difficult it was to try to even pull 9 or 10 minutes together of the movie. He said, because so much happens in this movie that we don't want to give away major things, because he said this movie is full of it. And then they showed us the 9 minutes that they did.
I think that's exactly what I was responding to, because the whole end joke, the whole idea of the whole cocaine exchange, I thought was hilarious, but that is totally inconsequential to the plot.
Right, but so much of Deadpool's dialogue is that, right? Like when you look back at Deadpool 1 and 2, there's so many moments that are funny just to be funny.
Totally. But that didn't tell us anything about the story, which I thought was a funny move, because I laughed. That was very funny.
And look, there's a new theory going around that Succession, the guy from Succession, who's the guy at the TVA, Paradox, there's a new theory going around that he might actually be the main big villain of the film. But you don't want to say that in the trailer.
Right, yeah, of course.
The
question I have too is, I've heard somebody speculate that the TVA in this movie is the TVA from the Fox universe,
right?
Which is different than the TVA from the MCU.
I've heard that theory too, but that confuses me, because help me out here. Like, I thought the TVA in and of itself sits outside of different variations. That's why they open a drawer and there's all the Infinity Stones from all the different universes.
Right.
Because the TVA is singular and outside, but could they be changing that?
I've always felt like
I don't
it
know.
was, and maybe I overcomplicated it, but the TVA was outside of time, so there's multiple timelines within your universe.
Yes.
Because when we're in Endgame, the what's her name? Bald, and she's talking to Hulk, and she's like, you can manipulate
one.
timelines and have different spurs, and that's a problem. That's within one universe, but then
Yes.
there's universes with other timelines.
That's right. And that's right. And
One's
so,
timeline, one's universe.
yes, that's 100% right. Because, and that's what I think the TVA that we're seeing is a different universe TVA. You've got a multiverse, but timelines within each universe are part of, they're different. So I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, that's really interesting, because it's, in the X-Men universe, we've got Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
You've got Apocalypse. You've got all this different, and they don't, like you've always pointed out, not a lot of continuity in those movies.
Continuity.
But so you've got, what if and I can only imagine the jokes being told from the TVA's perspective from that universe. Ugh, the X-Men. Ugh, Wolverine. Which Wolverine? From where? I mean, I can only imagine how funny that's going to be.
All right, let's take a second and talk about some of our favorite moments from the trailer.
Sure.
I gotta say, like the cocaine joke, that was something they showed us at CinemaCon, and it had the entire place roaring.
Hilarious.
I was sitting basically beside the head of distribution for Universal, and I remember when that thing ended, he turned to the guy, another Universal exec, and said, "Fuck, that's funny." and so and everybody was like howling. But I'll tell you, with all the great jokes in it and stuff like that, here's my favorite part. I think my favorite part of the trailer isn't a joke. Deadpool is in the bar trying to get Wolverine to go with him. And he says, basically, I'm paraphrasing, you better come with me. The next deep breath, you're going to take us through the hole in your forehead. Then the camera changes angles, and it's looking over Deadpool's shoulder, and you see Wolverine's face. And he leans into Deadpool's gun, and just before they cut away, you see him smile.
Yeah, that was cool.
I don't know why, but when I saw that, I thought this is one of the most badass Wolverine moments we've ever seen on screen. I just thought there was so much about that, because it talks so much about he doesn't give an F. He talks about the fact that maybe he feels so lost, or he is just not impressed. And he leans into it and smiles. I absolutely love that. Obviously, the conversation with Blind Owl, or, Vault 32 Overseer, whichever one you want to call her. So I love that kind of thing. The Ant-Man head was obviously
really cool.
Because I didn't notice the first time I watched it. I just saw the Ant-Man helmet open. It wasn't until the second time that I noticed when it opened, you see
the dead.
Yeah, you see
Scott
Lang's
Lang's dead skull
inside of it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool. So those were some of my favorite moments. Ray, you saw the trailer this morning. What was one of your favorite moment or two?
First of all, Rob needs another trailer. I don't need any more trailers. I think I'm ready for this movie. I think it's one of the ones you have to watch on the first weekend, or else spoilers are just gonna, and you just have to be a part of that opening night. What the trailer did for me, there wasn't any particular part. I just loved the contrasting personalities between the two.
Right.
And that will run through the whole film. I love the way they go about. They're both similar in a way, but completely different. And I just want to see how they go about teaming up together. That's my intrigue in this film. How will they go about? It'll be fun. It'll be brutal. It'll be bloody, and it'll be. It's weird to say I'm going to be laughing while people are getting hurt in this film. That's a weird contrast in itself, but it's going to be. I can't wait. July can't come any sooner. This has to. I hope they move it up.
Hey, listen, remember, I made a guess about a year ago, or maybe it was about 6 months ago. I said, I don't know why, I got nothing back to this, but I have a feeling they're going to make some weird announcement, and they're moving up Deadpool by 5 months. I mean, I could totally see them doing something like that. Was just, by the way, we said it was coming out. Because listen, this was a real fast second trailer.
Yes.
It was not long ago that we got the first trailer. So I'm not breaking any stories. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked if like two Wednesdays from now, Ryan Reynolds gets on social media and says, oh, by the way, Deadpool and Wolverine hits theaters tomorrow. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying it wouldn't shock me.
Let me add one more thing. And like, I think this is one of those movies where you remember Across the Spider-Verse, I believe you and Ann went right back into the theater.
Oh yeah, we left the theater, turned right around, went right back in.
This might be the one where even before we see it, I might already have multiple
tickets for it.
Just because, like, even if it's bad, I want to see reactions to the things that are going to happen. It's like such a fun thing to already seen something and knowing what's coming, and then just sitting in a theater and just seeing everyone else like react to it.
All right, Jonathan, gotta ask you, what was your favorite moment or moments of the trailer?
A lot of what's already been mentioned. I mean, I thought that was really intriguing coming out of Scott Lang's skull. I appreciated that scene where Logan's kind of puppet mastered and into stabbing himself,
with
and he's
like
just
Cassandra
like
Nova scene.
Yeah, he's just like, you know, an afterthought for her. So that shows some depth and some strength in that villain. But I gotta say, man, they have a certain affinity for 1980 soft rock musical cues.
A little Madonna in there,
and I'm here for it. Between the post credit scene of Deadpool 2 with Cher, and now Madonna, and then I can't remember the last music cue for the previous trailer. But I'm here for it. And since everyone kind of mentioned the obvious of the things we've already seen and appreciate, I did love that scene where he leans into the gun and smiles. That could have been a comic book cover from like the 80s or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Rob, what about you? Favorite moments?
Well, I mean,
the Liefeld joke was great.
I thought that was hilarious. I had to go back and look at that, but I do think it was the Giant Man version of Scott Lang that I saw first opening up, because I saw that immediately. But I think the line of dialogue that we heard from Cassandra Nova,
boys are so silly.
Boys are so silly, because I loved her voice. I'm like, okay, I'm sold on this character, because I love that character in the comics, because she was so malevolent, and her origin with, you know, being in the womb with Charles Xavier was so creepy. But I'll tell you what I got a sense of. I love the X-Men, and the fact that the X-Men convoluted timelines, even in the comics, Bishop and Fitzroy come from a future.
Right, yeah.
There's all the Days of Future Past. They are going to have, it looks to me like they're going to have a lot of fun with the multiverse concept has let me down. Multiverse of Madness didn't have enough of it. You saw this like one fight, but they didn't like go into, I mean, they traveled through it very quickly, but this, because it's the X-Men and it's the MCU, I think this is going to be the ultimate multiverse movie. Presented, they're going to give it to me in a way that I've always wanted to see the multiverse, but haven't yet. But I'm getting a sense, at least from this trailer, that I think we're going to get the multiverse that I've wanted to see. I think. By
the way, a couple other things I should mention that none of us have brought up. We got a shot in front of the Ant-Man skull. We got a shot of Azazel being back in there, which I always thought was
Excuse me? What is that?
Azazel.
Who?
He's like Nightcrawler. But he's
from First Class.
Yeah, okay. He was also in First Class.
Oh, okay.
Some people pointed out Lady Deathstrike was in there. But here's something that I haven't heard anybody talk about. The actual combat between Deadpool and Wolverine looks great.
Oh, yeah.
We got about 2 or 3 seconds of it, but they look fast. It looks smooth. It looks great. And apparently it's adamantium against adamantium. I mean, I can't wait to see the fights.
The whiskey dick.
Claws?
That was, when you asked me, that was one of the things I want to mention, where it just kind of like barely
happens to Wolverines over 40 all the time.
That was hilarious. And then when you saw his claws finally extend as far as they would go, I'm like, all right.
Yeah, like this is going to be okay. Yeah. By the way, there is also a great moment. I mean, we touched on this before, but at the CinemaCon footage, there's literally a scene of Wolverine and Deadpool just driving down the road in a car and just talking. And it is so funny. It's so...
I feel like I hope with the movie posters, they just go into like full on puns if they have rights to certain things. Like I can envision like a Thelma and Louise thing where they're going off the cliff and they're in the car.
Well, even the poster they released yesterday where he's just like tickling Wolverine's claws. My God.
And then the other poster came out with Deadpool and then the crossed blades in front of him with Shaven X, but you see Wolverine's reflection in it. That's great. Okay, so we've got the second trailer now. Here's the debate that's been going on and will continue to go on until the movie comes out. The question, does Deadpool 3 make $1 billion? Does it join the $1 billion club? In an era now, in a post-pandemic era, where I think we've only had two do it, right? Mario Brothers and Barbie are the only two that have done it in the post-pandemic era. The things working against it is that it's an R-rated film. Only one R-rated film has ever joined the $1 billion club, and that was Joker. It was the only one to do it.
And it was R-rated.
And it was, that's what I'm saying, it was the only one. Yeah, that's right. It was the only one R-rated film has ever done it. That's Joker. That's it. No other R-rated films have done it. Now, Deadpool's 1 and 2 both made north of 700 million. So that's working against it. The fact that it's R-rated and the fact that it's in this era right now where not as many films are doing it. But working in its favor is we've been waiting forever for this new Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds is arguably a bigger star today than when the other Deadpool movies came out. Deadpool is now finally in the MCU, which is something people have been dying for. And it is the first time everybody's been dying and waiting for Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds to do it. I've thought it before this trailer. I absolutely think it now. Deadpool will absolutely join the $1 billion club.
I'm gonna one up you right here. Even if it's gonna be the first, even if it's a bad movie, $1 billion. Even if it ends up being bad, I could see it making $1 billion.
Rob, does this movie, and why or why not, join the $1 billion club?
Okay, here's the thing. My first inclination is to say absolutely it does. But again, like everything else, John, it's the movie itself.
Yes.
That's going to and I'll tell you this. The movie looks to be wildly entertaining, but right now, I don't think what we've seen from this film turns out to make a 2-hour plus movie sustainable. Because they haven't told us what the plot, like Sean Levy said it.
They have showed us the plot.
Sean Levy said there was so much in this movie that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, absolutely. But they have told us the basic plot.
Yeah,
here's the basic idea of the movie.
But
it might not even be the real one.
Listen, this room is too small, and I just did a lot of work on it, so no brawls.
No. but I think that the movie has to sustain, and it has to provide. It has to be a smashing entertainment. It can't just be Riggs and Murtaugh with fun stuff happening and battles and stuff. This has to be a movie that takes people on an adventure, takes people on a journey. I do too, but I'm just saying. I started out by saying I think it's going to make $1 billion. I do.
All right,
but now the movie has to be great.
Yeah,
it has to be great, and it has to tell a story.
It's going to
that is epic.
It has to lean on repeat views if we're going to get to
well, any film really that joins the $1 billion club.
It has to be a movie that delivers the goods that you want to see again and again and again.
Now, by the way, while we were talking, I did put up a little poll for our live viewers with a little over 500 votes in the last minute or two. I asked the live viewers, does Deadpool 3 join the $1 billion club? Now a little over 600 votes. 82% say yes. 17 now, yes.
Well, it's flickering, yeah.
It's changing. It's flickering up and down. 82% say yes. 18% say no. Like I said, when you add up all those things, the fact that we've waited this long for Deadpool, the fact that now Hugh Jackman's in it, the fact that it's in the MCU, I just have a hard time. And I got to agree with Ray here a bit. Even if the movie's not great, I think if the movie's good, I still think it makes $1 billion.
You know what my trepidation is now that I just thought about this and I realized I'm like, why am I not all in? I love The Flash.
I did too.
I saw The Flash, Michael Keaton coming back, Supergirl. When we saw it, I was all in. I thought that movie was going to make $1 billion.
And I thought not only I didn't know if I thought it would make $1 billion, but I loved it. I didn't think it was like the greatest comic book movie ever, like some people said it was, but I thought it was really good. And here's the bigger part. When we saw it, Rob, at CinemaCon last year, I thought not everyone, but I thought almost everyone was going to like it. And most people did, but a lot of people didn't.
I was surprised by that. And that's the only reason it gives me pause, because usually I was wrong on that. I was totally wrong on what people would have loved that movie. And I looked at this and I'm like, I don't want to be wrong about this. So I'm hedging my bets.
I think, but
I want it to be $1 billion grossing movie because I love these characters
Yeah.
so much. I love seeing Wolverine in the yellow suit.
But to our point, though, we didn't have previous Flash movies as a baseline.
That's right.
We know most people love Deadpool already.
But look at the
Yeah.
track record of DC too. I
Yeah.
understand Marvel is slouching right now, but it's not the decline of DC that we saw.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Flash would be like 300-400 million. I didn't think it was going to get to $1 billion. But we had the problem with the lead actor Ezra, and we have the absolute crash and burn of the DCU.
Yeah.
So it's a different circumstance.
And I think, you know what? This movie has enormous goodwill. Everybody,
Absolutely.
everybody,
100%,
yeah, everybody wants this. Who doesn't want this movie to be great?
Yeah.
And I want this movie to be great. I'm just hedging my bets, personally,
And
because I don't want to be disappointed.
Look,
because I love the X-Men.
Logan made 619 million, and then the Deadpool 2, the last one, made about 700 something million. So let's maybe together they could make that billion.
I'm just telling you, I think like in the interim since Deadpool 2, you've had the greatest online fake rivalry in history between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. Everybody's fake. What do you mean? Everybody's been wanting to see this. And I think it will make it. Now, after I see it day one, Rob, to your point, maybe I come out of the theater and go, I changed my mind, not $1 billion. This movie isn't going to be $1 billion. Maybe.
Yeah.
But if we're trying to make a guess right now, my guess is it does.
That's my first inclination too.
And this trailer only drove it home
Because
more for me.
they're wildly entertaining together.
All right, guys, the question is for you. What did you think about the Deadpool 2 trailer? And what does it do for you in terms of up or down how you think the movie will perform and how many people are going to want to run out and go see it? I'm sure a lot of you are going to ask more questions about it coming up here. So whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to the most important part of the show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second here and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Liquid IV. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Liquid IV. You know, summer is just around the corner, and Anna and I have some of our favorite activities coming up, from hiking, swimming, going camping. But in order to do all that, you gotta stay hydrated, because you need hydration that keeps up with every moment. Just a single stick of Liquid IV makes ordinary hydration extraordinary. And for me, preparing a glass is the easiest thing in the world. Simply open up a packet, pour it into your glass of water, and enjoy. And guys, there's a reason that Liquid IV is the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. It has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink. Just tear, pour, and live more. Just 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. With 8 vitamins and nutrients, non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. There's no artificial colors or sweeteners, and it's got 4 delicious sugar-free flavors: white peach, green grape, raspberry melon, and lemon lime. So turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code CAMPEA at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code CAMPEA at liquidiv.com. And thank you to our friends at Liquid IV for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast and teaching us how to count. That's something that has related to something you didn't see that happened off screen. All right, with all that down, guys, let's get to the most important part of our show, which is hearing from you. Jonathan, what do we got up first?
All right, first off, starting off strong, Tyler with a $50 super chat.
Thank you, Tyler, for sponsoring us on that level, man.
It goes on to say, hey, John, have you seen the Wild Robot trailer? If so, what do you think of it? If so, well, said that twice. I thought it was one of the best looking movie trailers in a while, animation wise, since Spider-Verse and Puss in Boots' Last Wish.
So the first kind of teaser trailer for the Wild Robot came out a while ago, and it kind of blew me away. I thought it looked great.
I did too.
And then at CinemaCon, they showed us some footage and a new trailer. Now, I don't know. Does anybody know if they dropped that new trailer? I don't know if he's talking about the new trailer that they showed at CinemaCon. I don't think they made it public yet. Maybe they did. Or if he's talking about the original one. I got to tell you, when I first read about the Wild Robot, I wasn't very interested And then I saw that trailer. I'm like, okay, this looks really special. And then the footage they showed at CinemaCon and the new trailer they showed, which again, I don't know if they dropped it to the rest of the world or not, looks...
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, so they haven't dropped the new trailer yet online. Wait till they drop the new trailer. Like if you thought the first trailer was good, wait till they drop the new trailer. The footage and everything looks fantastic. It looks really great, and I'm excited for seeing it. I think it looks really good. Rob, do you had a chance? You didn't see the CinemaCon stuff?
No, but I love the first trailer. I thought it looked beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, plus, I have a soft spot for soft robot movies. I mean, I love Wall-E, and I love.
He likes real soft.
No,
robots.
but I liked Short Circuit.
Also, let's not forget the footage that we saw at CinemaCon. Part of it was rough. We saw like just boxes. And
some of it was
Yeah,
rough
so-
stuff that wasn't completely finished yet, and it still looked amazing. All right, again, thank you for supporting us on that level, man. Really appreciate it. All right, what's next?
Talkie75 says, after watching Rebel Moon Part 2, I think I owe an apology to Michael Bay for the all the crap I give him for his Transformers movies.
Look, okay, so we have been moving, and moving has been kicking our asses. And yesterday, I finally sat down and said, okay, I got to watch Rebel Moon Part 2 before going to bed. We finished watching the NBA playoffs first, and I was done. I had to go to sleep. So I have not watched it yet. I have not heard great things. Now,
Check that wheat, John.
What's that?
Check that wheat.
Oh.
Protect the wheat.
Is that the big line in Rebel Moon Part 2?
No, it's
Okay.
not even a line. It's just I walk away from it. I'm thinking, oh my God.
Okay, so you did see the new one.
Dude.
All right. I'll just say this. Until Rebel Moon Part 1, there has only ever been one Zack Snyder movie in his entire filmography that I didn't like, and that was Sucker Punch. And nobody likes Sucker Punch. Even Zack Snyder doesn't
No, he's
like
saying,
Sucker Punch.
he's going to do it.
Like he actually came out and talked about it. Even Zack Snyder doesn't like Sucker Punch. So fine. But every other film Zack Snyder's ever done, I've either liked or loved. Rebel Moon Part 1 was garbage. Like it was almost unwatchable. So I ask you, Robert Meyer Burnett, how is Rebel Moon Part 2?
Well, I've been getting roasted on Twitter by Snyder Bros coming after me for various reasons, and I have said nothing about Rebel Moon Part 2 yet, but I will since you asked me, John. It is embarrassingly bad. And here's the thing. I grew up giving a lot of things a pass. In terms of science fiction, if anything had a spaceship in it, or aliens, or lasers, I would watch it. And for the most part, I found something to like. And as far as Zack Snyder's concerned, as a filmmaker, his first feature, which was Dawn of the Dead, was a movie I was poised to hate, because the original Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorite movies in the world. And I went in and saw it in the theater, and I walked out pleasantly surprised. I'm like, Zack Snyder did something I thought would never be possible, and he remade one of my favorite movies, and he did it well. I was like, all right. And then I liked his 300. I thought his Watchmen was a valiant effort. And like you, I've enjoyed most of his movies up until Army of the Dead was, for me, the first one that I was like, eh. Oh. But Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2 and Rebel Moon Part 2, they made me sad. More than anything else, because I wanted to love them. You've got all these talented people. I've talked to the designer on the designing, one of the designers on the Designing Hollywood show. I love all the way, how it looks. It's just the most dunderheaded, brain-dead script ever. And I'm like, what? Why? You have all these talented people. It was let down by the screenplay. And I would blame the script. That's where all my problems are. Because Zack Snyder's not, his directing power is there. He's shot this movie. And I'm watching this going, there's a million, you could have read one science fiction novel, any science fiction novel, it doesn't matter which, and you would have been able to come up with a little better script than what we get.
It's funny too, because like he did his other Netflix movie, Army of the Dead. And I mean, I was nervous about it because it's working with Netflix. Yeah. I had a lot of fun with Army. I mean, I didn't think it was great.
Oh, I
but I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was pretty fun.
I didn't think it was great, but I had fun. There's some great scenes, like when they have to be really quiet and walk through the close quarter zombie thing.
Oh, yeah, there's some good tension in it.
Yeah,
The
there's
action
great
was
scenes.
great. I was just hoping for that in Rebel Moon Part 1. Like, even if you just give us that, but I don't know where his head was at with that movie. And now I'm definitely going to watch, like, after your review, I'm definitely going to sit down and watch Part 2 tonight.
I have to say this, though. At the end, when Rebel Moon 2 Scargiver, when it was over, the first thing I thought of was that, you know what? I really want to see his director's cuts. Does that make me a masochist?
Okay, listen, the director's cuts of Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2 is one of the most bullshit things I've ever heard of. You are literally on Netflix where they said to you, you can do whatever you want. And he is purposely, it's all a mark. What they try to do with Rebel Moon and this whole, well, then I'll do my director's cut. They are trying to surf on the back of the release the Snyder cut thing and regenerate. But he got to make whatever movie he wanted. There was no time limits. It's on Netflix. He could have done it anyway. This whole director's cut of it is just a bullshit marketing plot.
But I still think it's got to be better than what we got.
Can it?
I think so. John, if someone asked me about hope, you know, it's like Shawshank Redemption. Hope is a dangerous thing. You know, hope is the best of things, John. And I think that the director's cut of Rebel Moon 1 and 2, I hope they're better. I think so.
That doesn't make sense at all. But anyways, do you think the audience will get mad that there's a better version of this show that we upload?
That's right.
Oh yeah,
Not many people
I do
know,
a director's cut of
but
this.
behind a very secret paywall, we put up the director's cut of the John Campea Show. But maybe to Rob's point, maybe this will be the Kingdom of Heaven's director's cut.
That's a good
Rebel
call.
Moon.
I mean, the director's cut's like an hour longer, and you ask yourself, why did
They're
they
not
release
always
the short
better.
version of the
Wait
theater?
a second. Wait, there's a case where the director's cut really blew away the original release.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
Zack Snyder's
One
Justice
or
League
two.
is better.
Yeah.
And
Way better.
Yeah,
And-
I don't know if it's way better, but it is better.
I would
better.
contend that the director's cut of Aliens is not better than the theatrical release.
I agree with you. I think the long version of Watchmen is better.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah,
that
it definitely
movie was
happens. It happens.
So it's basically when you realize
There's two
Scargiver is
different
not
Robert.
has nothing to do
Alright.
with the film, but what it does to you.
We got to move on. We still have a lot of questions to get to. What's next?
Okay. We got Jedediah Elias who says, love the enthusiasm with equal enthusiasm. John, but Deadpool won't make $1 billion. Large part of demographic can't see it because of R rating. Will do better on streaming. They're going to see it.
Let's see. If only there was a recent comic book movie that was rated R that did make $1 billion. Oh, that's right. It did.
And it was more somber.
And it was way more somber, not as wide of a public appeal. And by the way, unlike in Canada, where I believe, I might be wrong about this because they might have changed it, but at one point, an R rating meant that if you were under 18, you couldn't go see the movie. It's not like that in the US.
No, you just have to be with someone that is 18.
R rating just means you got to go with somebody who is over 18. That's all it means here. If you don't listen, considering the first two Deadpools both made over 700 million, and since then the popularity of Deadpool's only gone up, and now it's in the MCU, and now it's with Hugh Jackman and Wolverine. And really the whole thing about, okay, yes, two 13-year-old friends can't go to the movie by themselves to see it. Granted. But I would propose to you that is what's going to stop Deadpool from being a $1.5 billion film. It ain't going to stop it from being $1 billion. It'll stop it from being 1.5, maybe, but it won't stop it from being 1.
And I think there's going to be a lot of 13-year-old boys whose first R-rated movie is going to be
It's going to
Deadpool
be
and Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine, 100%.
A lot of dads are going to sneak their kids to see this movie.
Yes.
Are they?
Honey,
A lot
where
of
did you
moms,
take the
a lot
kids
of
today?
dads.
Well, Mom, damn it.
Dad
What-
took us to a comic book movie.
What
Yeah.
was your first?
Oh, great.
What was your first R-rated movie in a theater? Do you remember?
Yes,
I think he
I
told-
do.
Yeah, you told us this. Right?
It's Exorcist 2 the Heretic.
I remember you did say that. I can't remember.
Mine
which
was
one.
Unforgiven.
Oh, that's a good one.
That was
though.
that was a good one.
I forgot.
Mine was disappointing.
Mine was Porky's, but it was totally by accident. It was totally by accident because I think my parents took us to the drive-in when I was a kid, and I think they always play in the double features. For some reason, there was a movie we were there to see, but the movie was attached with those Porky's.
Okay.
So I'm like, "What's this, Mom? Shut up! Lay down in the back seat. Don't watch." Or something like that.
The first R-rated movie I saw was actually an in-room cable. It was a movie called 2-Minute Warning with Charlton Heston about a gunman at the Super Bowl.
Sounds like what I got to give my sexual partners.
Oh boy.
Anyway, sorry. What's next?
Partners? You married man? Ooh, what do we just find out?
In the span of my life. Not today.
Okay.
We got Isaac Martinez.
2-minute
Alien is
warning.
getting a re-release this week. Can't wait.
Yeah, I didn't know about that till this morning. I literally just found out about that this morning, that they're re-releasing. And you know what? This is one of those movies that I never saw on the big screen.
Oh,
I never
it's-
saw the original Alien
it
on
is
the big
great.
screen.
If you haven't seen Alien on the big screen, go.
I recall Chris saying she did it wrong and saw Aliens first. This is her chance to see it on the big screen.
Wait,
Yeah.
which one did we see? What we watched?
It's so amazing at the end when the alarm's
Did
going
we
off.
watch
and
it?
there's
Because
promo.
remember
Oh.
I told you I didn't
Yeah.
see any of the
And all the
aliens, and then we
flashing
watched
lights.
Yeah,
one
that's
of them.
incredible.
That's the one.
Well, the one I would have, I don't think I would have shown you Alien. The one, I don't remember showing this to you,
Where
but Alien.
like they sent in the crew, and then they're like going around, and then
That's
like, the
Aliens.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Then we watched Aliens.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah,
is
the
not
action
that
one, where Sigourney Weaver gets in the big battle mech, basically the mover droid thing, and she fights the alien queen.
Oh
and
no,
the
no,
big-
we watched that one.
Okay, so that's the
Yeah.
one we saw. All right, what's next?
All right. James Wheeler with $20 super chat.
Thank you, James.
Good morning, everyone, at the new old studio. Yeah, new studio, just like the old studio. Boston versus Toronto may be the best team win, and by best team, I mean the Bruins.
So I had to explain to Anne that when the playoff matchups got set, and I saw that Toronto had to play Boston, I had to explain to her. It's like, she goes, "Why are you so bummed out?" I said, "The Lakers," Anne is a huge Lakers fan.
Yeah, it's equivalent.
They can't beat the Denver Nuggets.
Yep.
Up until game one, they had lost 8 games in a row, the Denver Nuggets. Now it's 9. I said, you got to understand, Boston is not a better team than Toronto, but they are Toronto's kryptonite. Boston just has a habit of booting Toronto out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw that we got the one matchup I didn't want, I didn't care who we played in the first round. It just don't let it be Boston. And it ended up being the Boston Bruins.
Oh.
And yeah, so that's it. Nice year. Toronto had a really good year. Austin Matthews scored 69 goals, most in like well over a decade of any player. Doesn't matter. It's over.
Yeah, jerseys in the dry cleaners.
They can't beat the Boston Bruins in the playoffs. They just can't. So
That sucks.
it was nice. It was nice while it lasted. All right, what's next?
All right. Amin says, don't know if you noticed, but in that first wide shot with him at the white battlefield, you can see a fallen CN
The
tower
CN tower?
in the corner. Yeah.
Yep, a lot of great little Canadian references are in the trailer. First of all, the bar that Wolverine is in, when the camera shot's on the bartender, there's a Canadian flag on the wall.
Oh,
so
wow.
there's that. And of course, in that big wide shot with the Fox thing, you see a fallen, the probably one of the most famous buildings in the world, the CN Tower, Toronto icon. It was good to see.
I got a question.
Wolverine's Canadian, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yes,
I've got a
yes.
question for you. Over or under? What is the number that we will see Alpha Flight in this movie,
Oh my God. Okay,
or some iteration?
I'm
of
going to
Alpha
set
Flight?
the over-under number low. I'm going to say 15%. Not 0, not 5, but only 15. And,
Okay.
and here's why. Because even a lot of comic book fans have no idea who or what Alpha Flight is.
It's true.
They've never heard of Sasquatch or Puck or Vindicator or, the twins and so that cameo could happen, but you're going to get all the normies going, who's that? And you're even going to get some comic book readers that are going to go, who's that?
Yep.
I'm going to say 15%.
But just because the Canadian thing, because Wolverine being
Yeah.
Canadian, Ryan Reynolds being Canadian, I mean, Alpha Flight is so Canadian.
Oh.
And even if it's just a glimpse, I think we're going to get some.
I hope
Alpha
you're
Flight.
right. I hope you're right.
I think we're gonna get, and by the way, I don't know. I've not heard
No, we're just
anything to this
guessing.
effect. I'm just guessing.
All right, what's next?
Wesley Cunningham says, after dealing with the shakeups and massively slowing down MCU production to implement course corrections, do you think Feige moves on after this phase?
I have been saying for a while that I think Kevin Feige has his exit strategy. And I do think he'll move on. I've been saying this for a while, that I think at some point he's going to move on here, and probably sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And the reason I believe that is because what else is there for him to accomplish with Marvel? Think about this. He's, number one, already made financially the most successful film franchise in the history of Hollywood. We're talking names like Hitchcock, DeVille, You know, you go all the way back. Nobody has ever made a franchise that has made as much money and been as successful as Kevin Feige has made. Okay, done. Number 2, he got the first comic book film in history to get nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Check. Done. I mean, I just don't know when you're somebody like Kevin Feige, and I compare this to like the sports world a lot sometimes, like a coach or a GM or something. It's like, once you've done everything you can do with one team, it's time to go to another team and see if you can climb that next mountain. I think Kevin Feige's got to be looking at the next thing, whether that means going to a Sony, becoming a head of studio for a Paramount, whatever that turns. I don't know. But yeah, I think by the time Secret Wars has been in theater for 3 weeks, we will hear that Kevin Feige is moving on. That's my guess. Robert,
Also, remember, he worked on 14 Marvel projects before the MCU.
Yeah.
And including for Kevin Feige, he worked on all the X-Men movies, you know, up through 2008. So X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men, maybe, I don't know if Wolverine Origins was one of, Wolverine Origins was one of, I don't know, Daredevil, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man. So this film, in a way, is the culmination of his entire career, because he was on set for those X-Men movies. He was a part of when Hugh Jackman was cast as Wolverine. So I could see him sticking around through Secret Wars, but like you said, he really doesn't, I would imagine, take his clout and go start over. And make movies that are not related to comic books.
Or I mean, or just retire. But
because the climate right now is changing when it comes to movie going, and sometimes complaining or like being, you know, it's just who would want to be under that pressure when you've already done it all? Just go.
But see, here's the thing: the main reason I think I could see him wanting to move on is the same reason I don't think he retires. He loves the game too much.
Yeah.
He loves the game
100%.
And he's too good at it, and he has nothing left to accomplish at Marvel. So listen, somebody in the live chat mentioned it. Sony needs a lot of help right now. Paramount's going through a lot of upheaval. Lionsgate could always, I really see a head of studio role for Kevin Feige in the near future. And there's just nothing left for him to do at Marvel. He's done it all.
There's
nothing left to do. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think after Secret Wars, he moves on.
I mean, X-Men was in 2000. It's been 24 years that he's worked with Marvel.
All right, what's next?
All right, Raymond says, "Will Marvel's Vision TV series be called Marvel's Vision Quest? Since there's a 1985 movie called Vision Quest." No, this is a sequel to that.
It's actually a sequel. A very
that's what I'm trying to tell these
deep
guys.
cuts, thin threads connecting them. No, I think they'll just call it Vision Quest. I mean, there have been many examples of TV shows happen to be having the same name as a TV show or a movie in the past, but there's no connection.
All they have to do is make it one word, and it's different.
Yeah. So wherever that
words.
one word is, Marvel's Vision Quest, but really they don't even have to do that. So, and by the way, I believe the Modine movie, it's 2 words, Vision Quest.
Yeah.
It is.
All they
So
have to
make
do
it
is
one
make it,
wo- Yeah.
like you're saying, make it one word, Vision Quest, totally different. All right, what's next?
All right, Wesley Cunningham says this will be only the 3rd MCU movie released as the only one of its year after Iron Man 2 and the Avengers 2012, about to be a real event.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be the only one of the year. And look, we've talked ad nauseum about it, Rob, but I really don't think you can overemphasize the importance of this movie to Marvel, because Marvel is in a place they have never been before in the past 15 years, where belief in Marvel is shaky right now amongst fans. Never been like that for 15 years. For 15 years, it's been in Feige we trust. Everything Marvel is great. Then, you know, they started to hit some bumps. Then the Chapek era came along. Marvel executives talking about how Chapek put out this mandate to just create as much as you can, as fast as you can, and you're going to put something, blah, blah, blah. He stripped away Kevin Feige's authority and his decision-making ability and all this kind of stuff. Okay, Bob Iger's back. Kevin Feige's got his power back. They said they're going to recalibrate and try to course correct. Rob, I don't think... I'm not going to say this movie is make or break for Marvel, because even if Deadpool 3 is bad, they're not done. They're not done. But it's real damn important. This movie has got to be that big, huge, definitive win like Guardians 3 was. Like, honestly, oh my God, I don't even know what state Marvel would be in right now if Guardians 3 had been bad. But I think they really need this to be big, and they need it to be a win. Doesn't have to make $1 billion or anything like that, but it's got to change the narrative, Rob, amongst fans right now. And can it do that?
I think absolutely it can, because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, the problem is we go to these movies to have a good time, and we don't want to not have a good time. It's been frustrating to go into something like Quantumania that I was really excited about, or to see Thor: Love and Thunder, or even, to be honest, the Marvels, and want to love these things and then not love them. Because for the most part, I've given a pass. I liked Eternals. We loved Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
You know,
they've absolutely had what WandaVision, like since Endgame, they've had No Way Home. Like, these are wins. Guardians 3, WandaVision, Ms. Marvel, Shang-Chi. I really like Eternals. But whereas before we would have like one every 5, 6, or 7 projects that we didn't love so much.
Yeah.
Now it's like every other project we don't.
No, and the heights of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you go back and you watch Winter Soldier, it's like, oh my God, this is so good. And then the 1-2 punch of Infinity War and Endgame were so satisfying. I want that from these movies. And I want that especially from this particular one because I love the X-Men.
All right, what's next?
All right, we got Dwayne Fernandez, who says the Deadpool trailer was awesome. Did you guys see
Azazel?
Yeah, from First Class and Lady Deathstrike from X2 in the scene with the giant Ant-Man helmet?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
And again, I mean, Azazel is such a cool character. And I would recommend to some of you guys, if you want to learn some really cool stuff about the background of Azazel and how he's been used in the comics, particularly in combination with Mystique and all that kind of stuff, look up some videos on YouTube. There's some really good stuff out there. Very fascinating. And again, any references to X-Men 2, which I still think is one of the finest comic book movies ever made. It's where I got introduced to, Brian Cox. Brian Cox as Stryker.
Yeah.
In that. And his scenes with Wolverine and that are so good. So I love all those references. It's great. All right. What's next?
Okay, we got Amin who says there's a shot where we see Azazel. I always say it wrong.
Azazel.
Azazel.
From First Class and Lady Deathstrike from X2. Hope they didn't reveal many more surprises in future trailer spots.
See, those are safe ones because those were minor. I don't even know if Azazel had more than 2 lines in First Class. So those are minor little things.
Well, what's interesting about that, though, is those are X-Men characters. So those are characters that universe is dead and gone. Or is it? But then, so they're not.
Remember, we see them in, what do they call that? That world where they're all in. It's kind of like the purgatory for the TVA. Loki ended up in there.
Oh yeah.
What's it called again?
Yeah, the end of whatever it is.
The
end of
wastelands
time.
or
Yeah, the Void.
what? So
The Void.
So
The
those
Void.
are like the leftovers, remnants
Yeah,
from his
sure.
world.
Yeah.
So that could be it. But
Which
I'm
is-
sure there's going to be loads of stuff that they're not going to show us. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Darth Hideous who says, if you could be a fly on the wall in any movie set, past, present, or future, which would you choose? I'd go with The Room for the pure comedy.
Now, I mean, I think you know exactly what The Room said. I think, what was the name of the James Franco movie? The Disaster Artist. I think The Disaster
That was a
Artist
fly on the wall.
probably gave us a pretty accurate representation
Yeah.
of what it was probably like on the set of that movie, right? So I think for me, after seeing The Proposal, I think it would have to be Godfather. God, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when they were making The Godfather. You got one, Rob?
Casablanca.
Oh yeah. That's
I
another good
mean,
one.
just to see what that was. I would love to know what the actors were like between takes.
Mine would be Fast 10. I haven't seen the movie, but I want to go on vacation.
And then it goes all the places. All right, what's next?
We got A. Marcellus who says, adding to the conversation of actors who didn't look their age, Patrick Stewart was only 44 during the filming of Dune and already looked like late 50s Captain Picard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We were talking, I think
Gilligan's
it's
Island.
a week or two. Yeah, we're talking about Gilligan, but actors who did not look
Yeah.
their age.
I mean, he looked mature as Sejanus in
In
I,
Claudius.
Claudius,
Yeah,
so-
yeah. No, he really hasn't. He's like Steve Martin. They look the same age for like 5 decades.
You know what really threw me? We might have talked about this on the show before, but this is the one stat that got given that threw me for a loop. The name of the actor again who plays the kid on Star Trek Next Generation, Wesley.
Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton. Okay. I was watching this video with Will Wheaton. This is a couple of years ago. And Will Wheaton said, "Did you know I am today older than Patrick Stewart was when he first shot the first episode of Star Trek The Next Generation?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's why Wesley
What?
needs his own ship. It's time.
Yeah, that threw me off. All right, what's next?
All right. I think Darth Hideous is back. Also, have you guys seen any marketing for Star Wars Outlaws? If so, you think you might give it a try?
I mean, they first dropped the first teaser for that like a year ago, didn't they? That's
Yeah.
the big open world.
I think they dropped the full trailer recently.
They
did
did.
they?
Oh, I gotta watch it.
Yeah.
When is it supposed to come out?
Let me see.
I don't know. But I mean, if the game is good, I'd play it.
I mean, like a good
Outlaw.
open world
Outlaws.
Star Wars game.
You know,
I would love that.
I was wondering, they were going to make that Underworld
Right.
the scripts for, and they never did. I'm wondering if this was an adaptation of that.
Yeah,
August
could be.
30.
August
August
30.
30 when the game comes out. I'm still looking forward to Skeleton Crew. Sir Malston just pointed out Skeleton Crew coming December. Wait, it says December 2023. Maybe it's December 20. I don't know when it's supposed to, but it's coming. I'm looking forward to it because you got the director of the 3 Spider-Man movies.
Yeah,
John Watts
John
is
Watts.
doing it. So I'm really interested in it. All right, what's next?
Okay, Thomas Bombadil says, "Hi team, did you know that Apple TV Plus had greenlit a Mythic Quest spin-off that begins shooting soon? They're calling it Side Quest. This is brilliant."
I did not know that.
Yeah, me
First of all, I'm surprised they're doing a spinoff because nobody watches Mythic Quest, which is a shame because Mythic Quest with Rob McElhenney is great. Mythic Quest is great. And I was like a year late to the party. I think it had already finished its first season. And then Anne just one day was like, "Do you want to just check out this Mythic Quest?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." It's like the Office style show in a way,
Yeah.
but focused around a video game company. Okay, with a World of Warcraft game called Mythic Quest. I'm like, all right, it's so good. I love this show. I don't put it on Seinfeld or Parks and Rec or The Office level, but it's really, really good, and more people should watch it. All right, what's next?
All right. Jared Oberfeld says, "Every sports team I was rooting for over the weekend lost, including John's Leafs and my Preds.
Predators, yeah.
Yeah. Also, Deadpool and Wolverine will easily make $700 million, which Marvel badly needs more than ever. 700, I think, honestly,
Yeah.
the safe number.
Yeah,
I think that's the starting point.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
it, is 700 million. I gotta tell you though, man. Side note, I'm not a big Pelicans fan. I'm not a big OKC fan, but the Pelicans and the Thunder played their first round game yesterday. One of the best might be the best basketball game I've seen this year. It was incredible. And if you're an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, you should be worried because OKC finished number 1 in the NBA, or number 1 in the West. They're the number 1 seed of the West. And they were playing the number 8 seed, New Orleans Pelicans, without their best player, Zion, at home. And they barely escaped that game with their life. Now, I think OKC wins the series. I do. But you cannot feel good if you're an OKC fan because you should have been able to deal with the 8th seed Pelicans without their best player at home. You should have been able to deal with that easily. Instead, we got one of the most thrilling, nail-biting, down-to-the-wire games I've seen all year. And I think you'll get by the Pelicans, but you're going to get your ass handed to you by whether it's the Denver Nuggets or whoever else.
You don't think Brandon Ingram's their best player?
No, I think Zion William operating to his potential. I think he's the best player.
Oh
they've
yeah.
got.
Oh yeah.
When he's up to his potential. Listen, he's lost like 30 pounds.
Right. He still got
He
a little
looks-
bit more to go. So
Yeah,
he
but he's
gets off
starting
this-
to look dominant.
And also, there's just some teams that are just a bad matchup for other teams.
That's
There's just
true.
maybe some holes that some teams fill that the other team can't stop.
But yeah,
Or-
Nuggets are going to be back-to-back champions this year. I don't see anybody stopping them. All right, what's next?
All right. But the Dodgers got a much-needed win this weekend, I will
10-0.
say. Sam Fisher, happy Passover, Robert.
Happy Pesach.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
It sounded like you were speaking Klingon for a second.
Pesach.
Still sounds Klingon to me.
There you go.
But all right. All
Thank
right.
you for that. Thank you, Sam.
What's next?
Toasted Shoe says, "Hey, John and crew, glad you're back. I recently watched the new Netflix series Baby Reindeer, and it was fantastic. Very dark retelling of a comedian who has a stalker. Highly recommend it. Interesting.
I've never heard of this.
I almost started it the other night. It sounds interesting. Yeah, it's like it's a retelling of that comedian's experience with a stalker, and it looked really interesting. Except I was watching Fallout, so I didn't watch that.
Do you know what tomorrow is?
Tuesday? Oh, doesn't it drop tonight?
Yeah, like at midnight.
Shogun, the finale.
The end.
No, John, you have to watch Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yes. Then I will
Priority
watch.
first, John.
You eat your
Then
meat
I will watch
first, then
Shogun
you
the
get your
finale.
dessert.
Actually, like many Netflix series, I never even heard of it. Netflix does still not do a good job of promoting their own original stuff. But now that it's on my radar, I might check it out.
I don't know what we're going to do in a post Shogun world.
Oh my God, it's going to break my heart. All right, what's next?
Eat at Shogun.
Andy says, "Hi, Rob. Did you also laugh at how there were many, many, many producers that appeared at the start of Late Night with the Devil? My audience and I did."
There were a lot, but Roy Lee was one of them, and
Yep.
he's a friend of this show. I really love that movie.
I still gotta see it. Man.
It's on Shudder now. It's
Okay.
it's really good. But yeah, there are an extraordinary. But that's what people have to understand is those people who get producer credits were probably instrumental in getting the financing together for that film, and even low budget movies sometimes require a lot of entities to get financed.
All right, what's next?
We got HV3 who says, "NFL draft is Thursday. Should my Minnesota Vikings trade up to take Drake May or JJ McCarthy, or should we stay at 11 and take Michael Penix Jr.?"
Here's the thing. I think Minnesota made a mistake letting Kirk Cousins leave. Kirk Cousins is not a top 3 quarterback in the league. Don't get me wrong, but he is an underrated quarterback. And I really do think that I think the struggles that the Vikings have had nothing to do with their quarterback. I mean, look, if you could somehow manage your way, I don't care what you got to give up to get up high enough to take Caleb, maybe you try to take Caleb. Other than that, I think they got to address their quarterback situation a little better. All right, what's next?
All right. Mr. I says, "Rest in peace, Ant-Man. I hope Cassandra Nova says, 'I have the power,' while standing in front of Castle Ant Skull."
But I saw a lot of people after the trailer drop going, wait a minute, Ant-Man's dead? Remember, that could have been any Ant-Man from one of 1,000 timelines and universes, right? So it's not our Ant-Man that we know. So it's going to be some other versions of Ant. Remember, even Kang in Quantum Mania said, "I've killed so many of you. Like, are you the one with the hammer?" He's killed so many Avengers, but they're different eras and different universes of Avengers. So don't worry about him. All right, what's next?
Late Night Alum says, "Mephisto confirmed. Let's have him go. Deadpool and Wolverine."
You know what? It's surprising how many people I've seen online thought that Azazel was Mephisto. It's Azazel. It's not Mephisto. It's Azazel from X-Men. It's even the same actor in the costume. So yeah, not Mephisto. But who knows? Maybe Mephisto does finally show up.
That's just
Might as
what
well.
that's just what Mephisto would like you to think.
Yeah.
The greatest trick the devil ever played
Yeah.
was convincing the world he didn't exist. So that is. It's actually this we're going to sneak in. All right, what's next?
All right, on to our members. CJ Reber says, "Abigail was awesome. Love Melissa Barrera and Dan Stevens' performance in it. Also saw Ungentlemanly Warfare. Enjoyed it. And Civil War had me shook. Kirsten Dunst, sorry, is amazing."
I so badly wanted to go see both Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare and Abigail. But with the move and everything, I just did not have time. I haven't seen either of them, and I've been dying to see both of them. So
Yeah.
I've got to get out in the next 48 hours to see them both. Did you get?
No, yesterday got totally turned around because we had big birthday all day long.
Yeah,
that
that's right, you had
lasted
family.
all day.
That's right. You had a big family thing.
But yeah, and but I want to see both. Maybe today. Maybe I'll finish my little move out of your
Yeah.
old studio.
Yeah,
and
you
then
still got to get the last of your stuff out.
I got
of
to
the
last
studio.
my stuff out.
All right, what's next?
Okay. Ron H says, "In Quebec, and I think all of Canada, There weren't any screenings of the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare in the past weekend. What up with that?
You know, what's funny? I got a lot of messages from a lot of our international friends in different countries, including the UK, saying, why aren't we getting...
I did too.
And I don't know.
Oh, it's not open international yet.
No, I don't know
Yeah.
if it's not getting released internationally or if it's just not released internationally yet. Like, I don't know if they're just trying to get positive word of mouth in the North American market first, so that word of mouth spreads to the other countries and then they launch it.
Everyone
I
who
don't know.
saw it said it was really good.
Yeah,
But I've
It,
heard
on box office, it only shows domestic and no international. So I don't
Yeah,
think
so it
it's
hasn't
released.
opened anywhere else yet. So I don't know if they're even going to release it
I don't even-
internationally or if they're
Yeah.
just delaying the release internationally. I
I
have
hope
no
it
idea.
does semi good. I hope it doesn't,
Yeah. All right, what's next?
All right. Dad Joke says, I get the sense that the tone of Deadpool and Wolverine is much of the seriousness utilized in Logan. I think this is smart because in order for jokes and levity to hit, there needs to be a sense of drama, despair, and heaviness too.
It's the juxtaposition. Humor works great when it's, and one of the things that Marvel has done masterfully up until the last couple of years is that they have done such a great job with the vast majority of their movies in getting a scene really heavy and then having a great joke and levity. And then when things get really levity, something heavy happens. You know, you got to have that. By the way, we didn't mention this. I thought one of the other great moments of the trailer to this point was when they're in the diner and Deadpool says to him, you want to talk about what's torturing you so much, or should we wait for a third act flashback sequence? And but to your point, I mean, so I think you're right. I think in the midst of all the wackiness and the hijinks that we're seeing, the action, I do think we're going to get big. It's not going to be all like it, but I think we're going to get big notes of Logan. I think we're going to get heavier themes and heavier stuff like that as well. So I think it's going to be a paradox, if you will. All right, what's next?
Espinoza says, hey, John and crew, watched Civil War on Friday. It was very good. I liked how I couldn't tell who were the good guys or the bad guys between the U.S. and the Western forces and whose side Jesse Plemons was on.
You know, ultimately, when I finally got around to seeing it, the first trailer, like a lot of people, I thought the first trailer was telling me this was going to be a commentary on the political temperature of America right now. It's not at all. It's more of an observation and a dissection of the horrors of war. It's really more about that, because a lot of times Hollywood has been, Rob, I don't know if you've probably heard this too, but Hollywood has often been accused of glamorizing war or making war seem something like it's really cool. And every once in a while, a movie comes along like Saving Private Ryan, or this one that says this is really more of a meditation on war sucks. And this is what it looks like. I don't know. How did you interpret that?
Well, I agree. I mean, I sent you what I thought was a pretty interesting analysis piece. It was really great about, how the way we even see war is removed through the idea of social media and how people are really LARPing now. And I saw this as a cautionary tale about our civilization today, as opposed to say, if there's a war, if a war broke out, if there was a real civil war and we had social media the way we have it now, it's going to be a very different kind of a thing. And I thought that the movie really went into that quite well. I mean, war is always something to be avoided, and especially in your own country.
All right, we've got time for a couple more. What's next?
House of Daenerys says, hi, John. Just a quick thought. After seeing Ella Purnell in Fallout, have you seen her or watched her in Yellow Jackets?
Yes. Yeah, actually, it's a funny thing because when Anne walked into the room when I was watching Fallout, the very first thing she goes, oh, it's the girl from Yellow Jackets. Yeah, she's very good. By the way, she is great at playing this character.
Yep.
I mean, she breathes so much charm and character into Lucy, or Goosey, whatever you want to call her. She really does a fantastic job. Listen, I don't think Fallout is on the level of Last of Us, House of the Dragon, Shogun. It's not on that level, but it's really good.
It's really, and also
Walton Goggins is so good.
He's so good. But it's not, the subject. It is from a video game,
right?
So not the
so
video
is
game.
Last of Us.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But Last of Us was more about the humanity, whereas Fallout is it leans more into that tropey post-apocalyptic landscape. and which I like about it. I think it's really cool. It's Fallout is fun.
Yeah, it is. And
Whereas,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I just said that was it. And Last of Us is really dramatic and really involving,
Well,
but Fallout's got that fun element.
Because Last of Us, it happened. Those people experienced the life before, and now they're so it's about the mourning of the world past.
Right.
We are
Yes.
200 years. This is a world of acceptance. This is the world now.
Right.
Welcome to it. You
Right.
know?
But it was wacky to begin with.
Yeah,
It wasn't our
exactly.
world, with the big, because they had those big, the freezer units, or what do they call them? What were they called? The silos, or I keep thinking about silo.
The vaults.
The vaults.
yeah.
The vaults.
All I know is I'm looking forward to season 2, exactly like it ended with a 3-body problem, and like the past couple series that I've finished, I'm looking forward to their next seasons.
And it got renewed.
Yeah, so that's all the job of a first season is supposed to do, make you look forward to the next.
And I like it because it is fun. Shogun, Last of Us, heavy stuff. Whereas Fallout's a hoot.
Yeah, it really is. All right, 2 more. What's next?
Okay. Stavro. I'm just gonna say Stavro. What was all your best first days at a job you had since you're back? Anyone can answer. Best first day at a job.
I remember my first day on my first job in a law firm. It was at the Fernahau Law Firm. And it was a law firm that specialized in real estate law and wills, things like that. So that was my first day, but I still remember walking into that office, and there's a desk there for a paralegal, and I sat down at my little paralegal desk, and I remember going to work on my very first day, drafting my first will for one of our clients, and getting to be the one to draft the will. I love that. That was my first day there, and that was a great first day. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I have. I worked when I was in junior high school. I worked at a frame store and making frames, and they taught me how to cut glass.
Oh, nice.
And using a glass cutter on a thing like this and breaking it. And I was so terrified to cut glass. I thought for sure it was going to shatter it because it was big. And it worked. Like, they showed me how to do it, and I just was like, wow, I just cut glass, and I learned a skill that I didn't even know I was ever going to need. And then I learned how to cut that board with angles and bevels and all that. And by a couple weeks in, I was making these beautifully framed pictures, and I was like, this is very satisfying. I'm impressed with myself.
And then cocaine.
And then cocaine.
Boy, he had a lot of
Do you
glass.
want to build a snowman?
had a lot of glass.
The
to lay
mirrored
on.
glass, all those shards of mirror. I had to do something with it.
All right, last question of the day. What's
All right.
next?
Dominic Suma says, have you seen the underrated movie Don John, directed by Joseph Gordon-Levitt? I would like to see him direct more. P.S. Don't see Don John with your mom.
Yeah, it's
rhymes.
got a lot. You'd like it.
That's
It's got a
what's
little
Scarlet,
filthy
right?
in it. A little filthy in it.
That's what Scarlet, right?
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
I did see the movie. I really liked it.
Yeah.
I got to see if I can pull this thing up, if I can,
What
because
she said.
it was one of the very first things. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it fast enough, but Joseph Gordon-Levitt. This was right before Don John came out. Joseph Gordon-Levitt came into my studio at AMC when we were still in the storage closet days.
I lost your NDI if that's what you're going to show. So
Oh, you don't have it?
I don't see it.
Oh, let me see if I can.
Let me try.
Let me see if I can get it for you if I can. But
Oh, there we go.
do you got it? Yeah. So he came in to yeah, there it is. He came into but this is back in the storage closet.
That's
days.
in the closet. I know that glass
Yeah.
table and everything.
Yeah, I remember that. Remember that? That was
Wow.
the very first desk we
Yep.
ever had. That glass table and those damn red and black curtains
Yep.
that we had. But it was great. Joseph Gordon-Levitt came in and sat down with me for like an hour. And the reason he was there is because they were then doing a screening of Don John in one of the AMC Burbank 16 screens. And I got to do the Q&A. I got to moderate a Q&A with him in front of the screening. So he was so cool. He was so great. And the movie is really, really fun. I'm not going to say it's like a top 50 movie of all time or anything, but it's a really fun little movie. I was really, really impressed with it. All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making this little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions, whether you're one of our beloved YouTube channel members or you sent in a super chat. Number one, because you gave us fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. A little bit of a programming note. We're going to have an open mic a little bit later today. I know with CinemaCon and us getting ready for the move, we haven't done an open mic in a couple of weeks, but we've got open mic coming up later this afternoon. Keep your guys' eyes open for the time we're going to drop that. It's probably going to be around 3 o'clock. Anyway, so for all the people in the room, I want to thank Ray Ora.
See you tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
See ya.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
LFG.
My name's John Campea. And until the next time, my friends, bye-bye.